Hello, everyone. Sorry, I have an issue. Hello, Rachel. Okay, so I've been working on a story for the past 4 weeks. 4 weeks. And unfortunately, I forgot to email it to myself. So I have it in here. Awesome cover, right? Yeah, I know, totes. And I'm going to start reading it, because that's what I do. So for a while, you will not see me. You will not see this, but look, it's all written. Okay. So I'm going to set this down so you can stare at black for a little while. It is titled Shinigami versus the Dark Knight. Inside a world, there is good, evil, and the misunderstood. This can sum up our whole story. So now, before we get into the conflicts and the problems, let us get to know our characters, starting with their childhood. About 5 years before our hero became a hero, he lived in Japan with his mother, father, and twin brother. His brother Gobi was his closest friend and his teacher. His brother showed him how to sing, and they both became very good singers. It was their life. They would often put on shows at lunch and in the subways. They were known as the musical duo by anyone that watched them. One night, Reiko couldn't make it to do a show with Gobi because of schoolwork. Gobi decided he would go to karaoke alone. On his way home, Gobi was jumped, and Gobi began, I need to rewrite this. And Gobi, being the stubborn little boy he was, tried to fight back. Because of this, he was badly beaten and his neck was slit. Thankfully, one of the robbers had a kind heart and wrapped a cloth around Gobi's bleeding neck and called the ambulance for him. They barely made it in time, and they rushed to the hospital where Gobi went into surgery for a day. Sadly, they cut a damage to the vocal cords and took away his singing voice. A few weeks later, our hero started singing for record companies. He would always sing for his brother, though Gobi saw it as Reiko making fun of him and slowly began to hate Reiko. After a year, Reiko started touring in America. Reiko did all of this for Gobi, and yet Gobi hated him for it. Ray knew that he hated him because he always sent an email before he went to bed. Years passed, and Ray grew famous, and so did Gobi's hatred. When Gobi went out on tour, his father paid for a tutor to join Ray on the road, so that he may still have an education. The man's name was Conan. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. I'm going to call him Conan. He is rather young for this position. He was only 22 when this job was offered to him. The longer Ray and Conan traveled together, the more their friendship grew. Conan became Ray's best friend and role model. The two did everything together. Conan became the man he was, built Ray his motorcycle that would come to him in a push of a button. Conan made a motorcycle to be able to hide all of Ray's tools, allowing him to have easy access to them. You see, the thing was Ray is that he was secretly the Black Knight who fought off evil and tried to harm the city. Ray was born with the power to see people's way of life and to see if they were good or bad. But it wasn't until he turned 16 that he was able to draw the strength from them. When Ray turned 16, so did his brother Gobi, who at the time was the youngest scientist in the world, and was working on vocal cord reproduction and repairing. Gobi had thought he cracked the code for it and decided he would test it out on himself. Gobi injected himself with a healing liquid and passed out. Soon he woke up, his eyes were red and his hair was green. He screamed, but nothing came out. But the metal walls around him dented and the glass broke. He realized he had given himself a power that he could use to kill his brother without even getting close. He smiled. He started to train himself for months. After a year, he was able to picture the things he wanted to break, and do so with only a resurrection. Only restriction. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. Leave me alone. He had a restriction he had was he could not kill anybody using this tactic. He would have to face his brother head on. In order to understand why they are this way, you must know about whom they are masked and unmasked. Starting with our hero, Reiko Ichiri, or Rei, is a famous rock star from Japan, currently staying in room 20B at the Hampton Hotel in Beersack Bend, New York. He is normally seen in his stage wear, a white tank top with a leather jacket, a red tie, black rimmed glasses, and combat boots. Oh, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, and black skinny jeans. Ray, though very athletic, his body did not show it. He was 6'2", 110 pounds. Ray, normally seen with a case that he locks away in his high-tech motorcycle, people think it's code to his money, or the money itself, due to the fact that he is the heir to his family's fortune. Though he was the heir, he did not need the money, seeing that he had been making his name in the music industry since he was 14. Now he's 18. He was schooled through a rather young professor, only 6 years older than him, making the professor 24. Wait, that doesn't make sense. I contradict myself there with this whole story. Shh. The professor is Ray's guardian, role model, friend, and teacher. This began so he knows everything about Ray. People around Ray think he is a coward because whenever there is danger around, he runs off to his motorcycle and drives away. Only the professor knows the truth. The other side of Reiko was known as the Black Knight, a name given to him by the people he had been saving. The Black Knight has a look that is typically worn by bikers: a black leather motorcycle jacket and padded suit with a white music note painted on it, a black belt full of tools, and boots. He has 6 weapons: daggers that is placed in his boots, grappling hooks that are strapped to his belt, knockout gas placed in a leather bag on the right of his belt, and 2 handguns strapped to either side of his belt, smoke bombs in a leather bag on the left, and 2 swords on his back. Knowing Reiko isn't all you need. There is another part to this act to construct the first scene of our play, that is our villain, Gobi Ichiya, from Japan. He now resides in Beersack Bend, New York. Shocker. He works in a lab downtown where he constructs experiments to repair vocal cords and there's a reconstruction of genes. He has a lab partner named Rose, who is in love with him. He loves her as well, but refuses to show it because he doesn't want to forget his main goal: killing his brother. Gobi is thin like most scientists and never leaves the walls of their lab. He has long blonde hair, almost white hair, and blue eyes that shimmer in the sun and turn green when he is sick. He is normally seen with his white lab coat and black turtleneck shirt and black jeans. He wears glasses and has a scar across his neck from his childhood. Some could say Gobi was a rather dark person, which made him hard to approach. This was true for everyone but Rose. They were roughly the same age and had been headstrong for the past few years. There was more to this dark side that even Rose knew nothing about. It was known as Shinigami, Death God in English, which Gobi took this form he would stay away from Rose. Though he had these powers for a rather long time, he had done nothing but train with them. The only flaw is that he cannot harm humans with anything that has a heartbeat or air in his lungs. Cannot be harmed directly by his powers. His powers are activated when he powers up, causing his hair to turn green and his eyes red. When he screams, nothing can be heard, but the object he has pictured in his mind would break. Though you may only see Gobi as a bad man, There was two people who would say otherwise, the first being Reiko and the other Rose. The thing about Rose is Gobi was madly in love with her. And he could never be mad at her, and if he was, he couldn't stay that way for long. Most of their fights were small and over quickly. The people that worked with them always said they had been together from the moment their eyes met. No one questioned the two, and people who ran the dorms and were not allowed to stay together, mostly because they feared Gobi. Months passed since Gobi had gained his powers, and he had worked with them and trained them, and had one thing on his mind, and that was killing Reiko. Gobi knew what he had to do to gain back his life and respect, even if it meant losing his childhood friends. After training, Gobi went inside and took a seat in his lab. He turned the TV where the news reporter flickered onto the screen, telling the public about Reiko's free concert in Central Park. Gobi sat there thinking about what he could do with his new powers. The very powers he'd been studying and building for months now. It was too soon, he wondered. Is it too soon, he wondered? He watched the TV reporter for a few moments longer and decided today was the day he had finally had enough. But he had to sit there. But he sat there watching more of the report. The more he watched, the worse it got. He stood up, his hair turning green, his eyes crimson red, and he pulled off his lab coat, white t-shirt, and black lab pants. He then walked to the closet, opened the door, pulling out a white tux-looking suit. He smirked as he put it on, enjoying the feeling. He pulled up his green hair into a ponytail and walked to the bathroom, examining his outfit. I'm going to kill Reiko today, and I'm going to look good doing it, he said to his reflection and left the lab. Reiko was sitting backstage, talking to a few of his friends. He was smiling at them and laughing. He'd love to be around them. He wondered for a moment what it would be like if his brother were here, with him sharing this moment. I bet he would enjoy it. Ray thought to himself. A few minutes later, Conan ran up to Ray, calling him off to the side with a worried look. Ray, there's a weird man looking for you. He doesn't look human. Conan whispered into Ray's ear. I will handle it, Ray said, and turned to his hands. I have to go now. My manager here needs me to confirm some last-minute changes. Ray used a soft tone with them, one that could hush baby's cries. Then they nodded in awe and turned to leave. He looked at Conan and ran backstage. Conan followed close behind. Ray pushed the button on his keys of his motorcycle, zoomed over to him. He opened the case with his pin code and pulled out a case that he ran. Then he ran to the bathroom and pulled off his black skinny jeans, white tank top, leather jacket, and red tie, black frame glasses, and combat boots. I'm sorry I got fast there. I'm at 13 minutes. He then pulled on his black leather motorcycle padded suit with a white music note painted on it, black belt full of nifty weapons, 2 swords on his back, and his boots. He ran to the bathroom, sliding on near face. Okay, Conan, where is he? He's heading north, along the woods. The voice responded to him through the earpiece. Thanks, Conan, I'll keep in touch. Ray turned off the earpiece and ran east. Okay, don't do anything Conan said, before the signal got all fuzzy. Damn it, he did it again, whispered Conan. The two men in the clearing, they looked at each other, the feeling as if they had never met before. Who are you? Ray asked, breaking the silence. I am Shinigami. Gobi answered, sounding annoyed. What is it that you want, Reiko? I want to kill him. Ray asked no more questions. He put his hand on his sword. What are you doing, you insolent fool? No mortal can defeat me. I am unstoppable. Gobi laughed madly and focused on the trees surrounding them. I may not seem it, but I am gifted. Reiko wasn't going to draw his powers yet. Nothing has happened. Maybe he could stop this man standing before him. Gobi yelled loudly. Of course, no one could hear it scream, because it would only affect the object he wished it to. Soon, the tree next to Ray fell down, and Ray jumped, taking it as an invitation to fight with this man. Ray closed his eyes, drawing the power from the good-hearted people around him, and ran at Gobi. He swung his sword, cutting Gobi's arm, Gobi's arm making his flinch, bleed. Yeah. The fight continued like this for almost 2 hours before Gobi lost enough blood to realize he had lost. Ray stalled and tried to heal him. Not being able to touch him long enough to heal him, Gobi ran off bleeding still. "I will get you for this dark night," shouted Gobi. Reiko returned to his show, singing a song that him and his brother wrote together as kids. Discrimination and pain has taken everything. It's taken mind, taken heart, leaving all sorts of scars. If someone please help us, we're trapped in a prison, locked away with all our feelings. We can't see ourselves any other way. Please someone take away the chains, free our hearts from all this pain. Tell us it's gonna be okay. Discrimination and pain should be put to death and thrown away. All these scars will fade away. Our minds will be erased. All our prisons will be broken like a mirror struck by lightning. Discrimination and pain now locked away, and we've been freed. He finished the show and returned home. Meanwhile, Gobi sat at his home and missed another date with Rose, of course not remembering that he didn't went home. When Rose had finally given up, she went home and found Gobi asleep on the couch. While he rested there, Rose walked up to him and flicked his head. "Wake up!" she yelled loudly. She was upset. Gobi had missed yet another date. When she screamed, Gobi jumped and fell onto the floor with a loud thud, followed by a growl. "What, Rose? What can you possibly want this time? All you do is yell at me. What is it?" He yelled back at her and stood up, looking down, seeing that his words had hurt her. "You missed our date again." He sighs and speaks these words. As she speaks these words, "You always miss our dates." She starts to cry. "Rose, stop it. You know I'm busy working. There is nothing I can do about it, okay?" He stood up, wiping her eyes, smiling for some reason. When he was around her, he could be himself. "How about you get your coat and we go to that cupcake place you liked?" She smiled and ran off to get her coat. He smiled after her, getting ready himself. He waits for her and hears her humming a song his brother had just released. He runs into the bathroom, subconsciously grabbing her arm. "Where did you hear that song?" he yelled at her. "The girls at work were singing it. I guess they got stuck in my head." She responded she wasn't afraid of Gobi, and never would be. She knew his temper way too well. "Please, don't sing or hum it around me, my love," he whispered, laying his head on her shoulder. He really did love this woman, and he was afraid of losing her. "Can I finish getting ready now?" she asked, smiling. "Yeah," he said as he walked away, picking up his coat and waiting for her. The fights between them were never really that bad, but he was still afraid of losing her because she was the only thing holding him together. Months passed. Every time Reiko had a show, there would be another fight between DK and Shinigami. They always left bruised up or bleeding. When people asked, they would always make up some crazy excuse. They had no idea this fight would be their last. Dun dun dun! They stood in an empty field. Wind whipping around them, Reiko looked over the man he knew almost nothing about. Reiko had his two swords out. "What is it that you want today?" He knew all Gobi wanted was his death. The daily fight became a routine between the two men. Every day, Reiko had a concert. Gobi was there trying to kill him, but the Dark Knight was always there to stop him. Gobi looked around them, and all that was there were grass and rocks. He screamed, and a rock lifted up into the air and shattered into large pieces, coming down above Reiko, and he dodged every single one of them. "Is this all you have, Shinigami?" Reiko asked teasingly. He loved this. It gave him a chance to feel like he had an older brother who spoke to him, That's all he really wanted was his brother whom understood why he pursued after this dream. Let me kill Reiko and we can end this, Gobi stated once again. Why? It's none of your concern, DK, shouted Shinigami. Getting another rock ready, this time a large piece of rock tracked Reiko down. Now, let's see who you really are. Gobi said as he pulled Reiko's mask off. His eyes bright and singing it was his brother. Reiko? Go ahead, kill me. All I ever wanted to do was make my brother proud. I wanted to live both of our dreams and not hurt him. Tears ran down Reiko's face as he yelled at Gobi. Seeing the tears and passion that Reiko had caused him to lose, his grip on Shinigami and his power down. Gobi, Reiko whispered, crying even more. He never wanted his brother to hate him this much. I'm sorry for everything I did. That hurt you. I didn't mean to at all. I just wanted to live both of our dreams and make you proud of me. You always told me never to give up. Ooh, last page. His eyes closed. There was a lot of pain from the rock that was crushing him slowly. Gobi saw this and tried to push the rock off his brother. Upset once more, Shinigami took over him and gave him the strength to remove the rock from Reiko's chest. I thought you wanted me dead, Reiko whispered in between gasps. Gobi wrapped his arms around Reiko and hugged him, crying. Reiko gasped more. Gobi pulled away with a laugh. I'm sorry, brother, for everything, for never returning your calls or emails. I'm so sorry, Gobi cried. This ended the conflict between the two. They both went home having dinners with each other every other night. After a few months, Gobi brought Rose along to meet Reiko at a nice restaurant. Hello, Gobi and Rose. Reiko greeted them at the table. I'm sorry I'm late. I had a show. He laughed sitting next to Gobi and smiled. It's okay, brother. Rose looked at them both wide-eyed. They were twins. Everything said that but their hair. Rose never knew that you were related. Oh, my God, was all she could muster out. Gobi leaned over and whispered something into Reiko's ear. Reiko smirked and handed him a box. Rose stood at her head. What's going on, you two? Gobi called a waiter over and whispered to his ear as well, and the waiter nodded. The lights went off and both Reiko and Gobi disappeared. While the lights were off, Reiko drew the power of the kind into his hand and healed Gobi's vocal cords. When the lights turned back on, Gobi and Reiko stood on stage singing a love song to Rose. Mid-song, Gobi got down on one knee and pulled out a box, smiling. Rose turned beet red and walked to the edge of the stage. Gobi kissed her lips and whispered, Will you marry me, Rosemary Garcia? That's the end of our story, guys. Look how crappy I look now. I'm so tired. Sitting in this garage is like, oh my God. Ooh. Mwah. Heart, love, super, whatever. Look at my garage. Look at this motorcycle.